My pack is marrying me off to the most vicious alpha in the realm. They think I'm just a lowly omega, that I won't survive the wedding night. They don't know the truth about who I really am. Do you, Alpha Daemon, accept Talia, former member of the Red Moon Pack, as your wife, mate, and Luna of the Dark Howlers Pack? The Elder asked the man standing in front of me. Alpha Daemon? I asked my wolf Sylvie. As in, the cold-blooded killer Alpha Daemon? I guess so, but his wolf told me. I don't care about his wolf, Sylvie. This is a trap. I was shaking as the reality of my situation started to sink in. I do. Alpha Daemon's deep voice rang. I felt our mate bond intensify. Talia, former member of the Red Moon Pack, do you accept Alpha Daemon of the Dark Howlers Pack to be your husband and mate, thereby accepting your title as his Luna? I didn't want to go with him. I had 3 choices. Stay here and be a slave and get beaten, go with the murdering Alpha, or go rogue and have nobody. Sylvie whimpered. You know you want him, Talia. Our wolves must bond. I sneaked a peek at my mate. He's a giant, all muscle, with a hint of a tattoo peeking out from under his shirt collar on his neck. He's very good looking despite his ugly reputation. Full lips under a straight, long nose, and haunting blue eyes. Those eyes gazed into mine, and then my mate smirked at me. I was captivated. Talia? The Elder asked. I heard my biggest bully Marcy snicker behind me. Talia, say I do, Sylvie pleaded. The goddess has her special plan for us, trust me. Taking a deep breath, I looked away from Alpha Daemon and down at my shoes. I do, I whispered. The mate bond intensified again with my words. I blinked away tears as I sealed my fate. The Elder stepped back. It is my great joy to pronounce you man and wife. You may kiss, that won't be necessary. Alpha Daemon cut across him. He turned to me. Come. As Daemon took me down the hall by the wrist, I asked myself, how did I get here? Then I remembered. Earlier that morning I woke up to the shrill voice of Marcy. Hurry up, slave. Why my foster mother decided her spoiled, stuck-up daughter would be the perfect person to help me get ready for my wedding was beyond me. I said, get up, you insolent bitch. She pulled me out of bed by my hair, threw me into my creaky chair in front of my sorry excuse for a vanity, and screamed at me to get ready. Yes, Marcy. I chirped out. She snorted in response and went back to her phone. I was nearly ready, hoping we would be each other's types. I had no idea what my future husband's type was, or, for that matter, who my future husband was. Is that mutt ready yet? Shrieked my foster mother Layla from downstairs, followed by my foster father Edward's heavy footsteps. Put on the damn dress already. He huffed outside my door. My gaze swept down to my dress. It was gorgeous. It was the only thing I'd ever received from Alpha Edward in the 13 years I'd been at this pack. His one kindness through years of abuse. Alpha Edward and his Luna, Layla of the Red Moon Pack, had adopted me when I was 5 years old. I have no recollection of my life or family from before. My first memory was 13 years ago, entering Red Moon's borders and staggering around until I came across the pack house. Foolishly, I'd raided the kitchen as I had been starving, and the Luna had caught me red-handed. Terrified and alone, she had taken me in. Though I quickly found out she was not a Luna of mercy, as I was made to clean, cook, and serve the pack with harsh punishments if I strayed or argued or talked back. Her daughter, Marcy, was the same age as me, and just as cruel as her parents. Her main source of enjoyment was to torment me. Once, when we were 10, I had spilled a glass of orange juice on the floor. Marcy had walked right up to me and dumped the remaining glass over her head, immediately screaming for her parents, claiming I had thrown a glass at her and then dumped the juice on her when I missed. I spent 3 days in a cell in the basement with no food or water and merciless beatings from the Alpha and Luna both. I had no idea how I survived. The punishments happened less and less, but when they did happen, they were extreme. That was until I got my wolf Sylvie. It was thanks to her that I found my voice again and my will to fight back. I was in the last room of the main floor, just finishing up mopping. Suddenly a voice had me screaming and dropping the mop, splashing water everywhere. Hey, who's there? I asked nervously. I spun in a slow circle, looking for a sign of another person. No need to be so jumpy. I won't hurt you, Talia. I realized the voice was in my head. You're my wolf. Bingo, my name is Sylvie, and it is so nice to finally be here with you. It's really nice to meet you too. I thought. I figured. I trailed off helplessly. That you didn't have a wolf? I know. You do. She sighed. I've always been here, Talia. I just didn't have the strength to come out until now. I'm sorry I wasn't here to help you, but I'm here now and you'll always have me to watch your back. I laughed, full of joy. I had a wolf. This was the best day of my life. I grinned so much that I didn't even mind that I had to remop the floor. That was last month, my 18th birthday. I hadn't shifted yet, because my wolf is too weak for me to do that. The fact that she is still present with me despite my miserable state in itself is no less than a surprise. My reminiscing was interrupted by Marcy's high-pitched voice. "What are you smiling about?" Sylvie snarled in my head. I shook my head but declined to answer. Marcy narrowed her eyes at me and stood up, moving towards me. She stood behind me with her hands on her hips, turning her head to the side. "You know, slave, I think you could use a little colour in your cheeks." She smiled wickedly. I immediately sprang up and tried to dash to the door, but she was quick. Grabbing my arm, she spun me around and landed a vicious blow to my left cheek. While I was still stunned, she repeated the action to my right cheek. Tears sprang to my eyes to accompany the stinging on my face. Sylvie roared in my head, momentarily deafening me while Marcy laughed. I didn't even hear the insult she threw at me. Holding my cheeks, I turned swiftly for the door, exiting the room with Marcy hot on my heels. "You'll be back, you know," she said. "I know you think this marriage is your ticket out of here, but it's not. As soon as your groom realizes who my parents are marrying him off to, he'll throw you out faster than you can blink. I'll be surprised if he even goes through with the ceremony," she hissed. Stepping in front of me, she yelled, "You will always be nothing but a slave." Marcy released me, shoving me back a few feet. Without another glance, she marched down the hall and out of sight around the corner. I leaned against the wall, taking deep breaths. Maybe she was right. Who would agree to marry someone like me, an Omega, a servant? Was this truly a marriage, or just another cruel game crafted by Alpha Edward and Marcy? She's wrong. Don't listen to her, Talia. My wolf tried to soothe me. She's right, though. I've always been a slave. Who could possibly want me? Look at me. You're stronger than you realize. You've been through so much and you're still here, still standing. Even if this guy throws you out, we won't come back here. I blinked. You'd go rogue? The very word sent a chill through me. Rogue wolves, marauding packs of cast-outs, of the truly wild. They answered to no alpha, followed no law but their own. Unbound, unpredictable, feared. It was rumored that they were capable of anything, and loyal to no one. "I told you," Sylvie said. "I'd always be here with you, even if we had to be a rogue." Tears welled up again, but this time from happiness. "Wow, thank you, I love you, Sylvie. I love you too, Talia. Now let's go get married," she cheered with mock enthusiasm. I laughed quietly. Straightening my dress and my hair, I began walking down the hallway. With each step, nerves began to pool in my stomach. See, the craziest thing about my situation was that I actually didn't know who I was marrying. This whole thing was arranged without my knowledge, at least, up until last week. I'd been a server at the yearly Alphas meeting, which was at Red Moon this year. The next day, Alpha Edward and Luna Layla dragged me into the Alpha's office and told me I was getting married. They never said to whom, and they never gave me the option to say no. All they said was they were getting more for my hand in marriage than I was worth, and they were glad to be finally getting rid of me. Was that really the truth? Had Alpha Edward offered me up like chattel, just to cast me off? Or was there something more, something darker, lurking behind his eagerness? Whatever happened behind the doors of that meeting, I would never know, but I feared the answer. I couldn't say I was unhappy about the prospect of leaving this pack, but I was scared of marrying an unknown man. I couldn't fathom why anyone would want me to be honest. I assumed it was someone from an ally pack who wanted a slave. The more I thought about this, the more I believed it was true. After all, Alpha Edward could pick any random girl to replace me. Lost in my fears, I finally reached the grand double doors to the hall where the ceremony was taking place. Voices buzzed from inside. I felt like vomiting, but also something else. My head began to swim, and I was suddenly too hot. My heart rate was picking up quickly and I felt lightheaded. Was I about to pass out minutes before my wedding? As I took deep breaths as being coached by my wolf, Alpha Edward snuck up beside me. I'd been so focused on my breathing I hadn't even heard him. I flinched. "Stop fidgeting," he hissed. "What are you doing?" I asked. I felt so out of sorts I didn't even stop to consider my words or the disrespectful tone in which I said them. Alpha Edward narrowed his eyes on me. The hand at his side twitched like he wanted to strike me. Since you have no father here, it is my duty to walk you down the aisle and give you away. Don't misinterpret this, though. I take absolutely no pleasure in touching you. What? Why did it sound like he was insinuating something? You mean, you take no pleasure in touching me when it's not violent? I deadpanned. Sylvie, who had been pacing in my head, stopped in her tracks. I could feel the shock coming from her. I was shocked too. I'd never spoken to the Alpha like that before, with such confidence. Where had that come from? The Alpha seemed more shocked than either of us. However, his face was comical. At least it was until his eyes turned black and a low voice came through his teeth. You think that was bad? Your fate is about to become far worse. Before I had time to process his words, or the rising panic they instilled within me, the doors in front of us began to open. He turned me towards the hall. I had no maid of honor, no bridesmaids. Not that anyone would have agreed if I had asked. As we entered the hall, I was hit in the face with the most amazing scent. It was a mix of forest and dark chocolate, with a hint of an almost musky, woodsy smell. It almost knocked me off my feet. It filled the hall and I found myself looking around, searching for the source. Sylvie was practically jumping in my head, wanting to come out. "Mate, mate!" she screamed. "What? Where?" I asked. I saw him then. My eyes zeroed in on the most amazingly breathtaking man I'd ever witnessed. He was taller than Alpha Edward, at least 6 or 7, a giant and all muscle. His tuxedo strained against him in a way that had me coveted. I could see the hint of a tattoo peeking out front under the shirt collar on his. I was less than 5 feet away now, near enough to see his hair had a slight wave to it, and it was pitch black. My fingers itched to run through it. He had a chiseled jaw with a 5 o'clock shadow, full mouth under a straight, long nose, and his eyes. They gazed into mine and held me captive. They were a haunting blue. I had forgotten where I was, the reason, the time, the place. "This is our mate?" I asked Sylvie. I couldn't quite believe he was my mate. Yes, I could feel her connecting with our mate's wolf. She was purring with joy and happiness. A loud throat clearing sounded next to me, and I unwillingly cast my gaze away from my mate in annoyance. Alpha Edward was glaring at me. It was only then that I'd realized we'd come to a stop. The entire hall was buzzing with hushed whispers, everyone staring at me. I blushed slightly and looked down. Alpha Edward. His voice was deep, husky. It sent a shiver down my spine. "I'll take her from here." My head shot up. "Wait, I was marrying him. My mate. Who do you think? He's the only one up here other than the old guy," snarked Sylvie. Truthfully, I hadn't even noticed anyone else, but she was right. Only the elder who was blessing the marriage stood at the altar with my mate. I glanced around him. Didn't he have groomsmen, friends, family? What are you waiting for? "Go!" hissed Alpha Edward. He released a not too subtle shove. A growl erupted from my mate's chest at the action, and I peeked up in time to see Alpha Edward's face go pale. He bowed his head in apology and went to take his seat next to his Luna. In all my years with the pack, I had never seen Alpha Edward cower before anyone. Whoever this man was, he wasn't just powerful, he was feared. And perhaps crazy too. Why else would he agree to marry me? An Omega servant with no status or standing worth trading. I spotted Marcy seated next to her mother, but I didn't understand her expression. Truthfully, the second I realized whom I was marrying, I could only imagine how jealous Marcy would be. I mean, this man was a god. But she looked smug. She had a wicked little smile on her face, laughter in her eyes. Why? What did Marcy know about this man that I did not? Her expression had anxiety pooling in my stomach. Ahem. I turned my attention back to the man in front of me. He was glaring at me now, annoyance clear on his face. "I'd like to get started, if you're willing to pay attention now," he grumbled. Without waiting for an answer, he signaled to the elder to begin the ceremony. "Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to be here at Red Moon today to bless the union of these 2 children of the Moon Goddess. Shall we?" He looked at my mate. He nodded once. The elder looked to me with a soft smile, which I returned. "Do you, Talia?" He stumbled for a second and I blushed a deep red. Traditionally, he would use my full name, but since I had no memory of my past, I didn't know my last name, or even if I had a middle name. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw my mate raise his eyebrows in confusion. The elder cleared his throat and started again. Do you, Talia of the Red Moon Pack, accept this marriage and my blessing of it? I do, I replied quietly. And do you acknowledge and accept that henceforth you will no longer be a member of the Red Moon Pack? Yes, I replied a little more eagerly. Then, as an elder of the Werewolf Sitting Council, I hereby strip you of any ties to the Red Moon Pack. Alpha Edward? The elder gestured to my alpha, who stood up. I accept, he said. I felt a tearing inside. Everyone in the hall sighed, the elder and my groom gasped and clutched themselves along with me. Losing a pack member was painful for everyone, but I took the pain with a smile, knowing I was officially no longer a member of this horrid pack. I felt an intense wave of freedom not to be tied to them anymore, even though I was totally unaware of how my life will be in my new pack, or why Edward had suddenly agreed to let me go. When everyone was quiet again, the elder turned to my mate. Do you, Alpha Damon, accept Talia, former member of the Red Moon Pack, as your wife and mate, and therefore Luna of the Dark Howlers Pack? My breathing hitched to a stop. Alpha Damon? As in the cold-blooded Alpha Damon? I asked Sylvie. I guess so, but his wolf. I don't care about his wolf, Sylvie. I can't accept this, he's a bad guy. Suddenly, Marcy's smirk made sense. I was shaking as the reality of my situation started to sink in. They were marrying me off to the cruelest, most viscous alpha on this side of the world. And to make matters worse, he was my mate. What kind of sick sense of humor did the moon goddess have? I hadn't suffered enough. She thought she'd toss me to the merciless alpha? I do. I felt the mate bond intensify. I ground my teeth together and kept my eyes downcast, avoiding eye contact with Alpha Damon. Talia, former member of the Red Moon Pack, do you accept Alpha Damon of the Dark Howlers Pack to be your husband and your mate, thereby accepting your title as his Luna? I didn't want to go with him. These were my options then. Stay here and be a slave and get beaten, go with the ruthless Alpha who everyone feared, or go rogue and have nobody. Tears welled in my eyes at my situation. Please don't reject him, Sylvie whimpered. Sylvie, we can't accept him, I know, she cut me off, but you need to remember that you wouldn't be the only one losing a mate, she snapped. Closing my eyes, I sighed quietly. When I opened them, I looked into my alpha's eyes. He was staring at me with such anger I actually took a step back. It didn't make sense. Why was he looking at me like that? Why marry me at all if all he felt was anger? Please, whispered Sylvie. Talia? The elder stepped forward. I heard a snicker I'd known anywhere behind me. Now I know why Marcy was so smug earlier. Taking a deep breath, I looked away from Alpha Damon and down at my shoes. I do, I whispered. The mate bond intensified again with my words. I blinked away unshed tears as I sealed my fate. The elder stepped back, giving me a short look of something near to sympathy. It is my great joy to pronounce you man and wife. You may kiss. That won't be necessary. Alpha Damon cut across him. He turned to me. Come. Dragging my feet, I turned to follow my new husband. Alpha Damon strode down the platform, stopping briefly to shake my former Alpha's hand. They exchanged no words, but it felt disrespectful to me, like a good doing business with you vibe. I wondered for the first time how much he had offered for me. It couldn't have been very much, as I was nothing but a lowly slave for the pack. More than likely, they were probably just glad to be rid of me. Why did Alpha Damon agree to marry me? What's his motive? He hadn't even kissed me. How could he want me? And, what I feared most to ask, what exactly did he want me for? Keeping my eyes down and my feet shuffling forward, I felt bad for whoever they replaced me with in the future. A deep sigh interrupted my thoughts, and I glanced up to see my mate's annoyed face. Can you move any faster? I'd like to get home sometime today if that's okay with you, he snapped. Sorry, I mumbled. He rolled his eyes. Your things are packed and already loaded in the car. Let's go. He reached for my arm, and I instinctively flinched back. It wasn't entirely his fault. I'd been beaten since the age of 5. Fast movements tended to cause me to react like that. Whether he knew of how I was treated here or not, though, he stopped reaching for me and dropped his hand to his side. Should I change first? I asked him. Why? I blinked at him. Am I supposed to show up to your pack in a wedding dress? Why does it matter? It didn't really. I was stalling. not wanting to be in a near personal space like a car with him. Look, I've come and got what I needed here. Now I'm going home. If you're not in the car in 2 minutes, you can walk to Dark Howler's. With that, he turned and walked away from me. Wow, he's a real charmer. I know he's a bit rough around the edges. But his wolf is really nice, mumbled Sylvie in my head. That's supposed to make me feel better? Yes. My turn to roll my eyes. Dutifully, I followed my husband out of the pack house to a waiting black SUV. He was already seated in the driver's seat, tapping his fingers impatiently on the steering wheel. I climbed in somewhat awkwardly, thanks to the skirt of my dress, and shut my door. Glancing in the back seat, I saw a single suitcase. That would be my thing, as sad as that was. Clicking my seatbelt into place, I stared out the windshield. We weren't moving. 2 minutes passed, then 3. And 5 minutes later, we were still parked in the drive of the pack house. I broke the silence. Aren't we leaving? I asked him. Yes, as soon as these idiots get the rest of your stuff. I looked at him quizzically. What? He jabbed a thumb over his shoulder, indicating my suitcase. I actually laughed. That is the rest of my stuff. Now it was his turn to look confused. That is all you have? Yeah, I replied. Where are the rest of your clothes? They're in there. I don't have much. I shrugged. Much? You don't have anything? He barked. I shrugged again. He continued to look at me with an undecipherable expression before his expression hardened again. Whatever, he grumbled. Finally, he started the car and put it in the drive. Leaning back in my seat, I started out at the houses passing us by, giving way to more and more trees until we left the red moon behind completely. Turning onto the highway, I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. I can't believe it. I know. We're actually out of the red moon. We don't ever have to go back, Talia. We're free. Sylvie whooped in my head. Free! Somehow this didn't feel like freedom. I'd gone from being a slave to a Luna in less than a day, to a man who might actually murder me, as he'd done so many others. Even as a slave, I'd heard all the stories of Alpha Damon. He was feared near and far for his ability to murder. He'd wiped out entire packs. He had no mercy, no heart. He was actually known as the Heartless Alpha. And here I was, sitting in a car with him, accompanying him to his pack as his Luna and wife. Or maybe he had different plans for me entirely. It felt surreal. Should I speak to him? Try to make conversation? I floundered around in my head, searching for something to ask him that didn't involve his murder streak, or how many people he had decapitated. Hours passed. It was dark outside now, the trees a dark blur as we sped past. Suddenly, it popped into my head and out of my mouth before I could stop it. Why didn't you kiss me? I blurted out. Alpha Damon glanced at me and then back to the road. Silence. Alpha, I tried again. Nothing. I'd been so caught up in the shock before, I hadn't even minded that he didn't kiss me. But now, as my reality began to really set in, it seemed important to know why. If he hadn't married me for love, then what had he married me for? Why did this matter so much to me anyway? He was a cold-blooded murderer. I shouldn't even be thinking about kissing him, naive mate Bond. However, it seemed my mouth was not connected to my brain as I whispered, I'm your mate. Enough! He snapped loudly. I flinched away from him, hurt. Naive mate Bond. I didn't speak a single word for the rest of the trip. My gaze traveled between the window and my shoes. I refused to look at him. An hour ago, he told me we'd crossed into his land. I'd simply nodded. Was I being disrespectful? Probably. But he wasn't chatting me up either way, so I didn't care. We're here. He pulled up to a huge 10-foot gate that looked to be made of iron. 2 guards were stationed on our side, and 2 more just beyond. All 4 men were huge, but nowhere near to their alpha. The nearest guard gave a signal, and the gates swung open. Despite my qualms about this situation, I was impressed as we drove further towards the pack house. Most of the area was covered in trees, but I could spot houses in the dense forestry. Here and there, quaint cottages were dotted around with cute balconies and porch swings, gardens, and stone walk paths. I even spotted a few garden gnomes, painted grins frozen in place, peeking out from manicured lawns. It was perfect. Almost too perfect. Like the whole town had been, manufactured. 15 minutes later, Alpha Damon pulled up to what could only be the pack house. The driveway was a big semicircle of stone bricks. Cars were parked in a line along the edge, jeeps and SUVs. almost militaristic. I took a moment to take it all in, and despite everything, I was awestruck. The pack house loomed before us, massive and commanding, at least 5 stories tall and just as wide. It wasn't just big, it was fortress-like, a place built to protect. Or imprison. Are you going to sit there and stare all night? I'm tired, grumbled my mate. I shook my head, speedily opening my door and stepping out. I hadn't moved much over the course of the long car ride, and my legs were super stiff. I took a second to stretch them while still admiring the house. Upon closer inspection, I noticed the whole place was constructed of deep redwood. I bet it looked even better in the daylight. Talia. It took me a minute for him to catch my attention. Nobody used my name. I'd always been called slave or mutt or other various derogatory terms. Yes, I'm coming. Just let me get my stoop. Don't bother, but I'll get you some new clothes tomorrow. You can throw that suitcase out and everything in it. He began to walk to the house, but stopped when I opened the back door of the SUV. He sighed loudly, clearly irritated. Opening the suitcase, I dug through the clothes that had been packed. Really, they were just rags until I found my objective. Closing the door, I clutched my locket. I placed it around my neck and joined him. "What's that?" he asked. "It's a locket." He raised an eyebrow. It's the only thing I have that's really mine. I don't remember who gave it to me, but I had it before I came to the Red Moon. So, I trailed off. No, I couldn't remember the face of the person who had gifted it to me, but sometimes I swore I could hear a voice. Soft, warm, distant. It echoed through my mind like a memory just out of reach. This, my girl, is the key to your past. Damon feigned no interest. Okay. He turned on his heel and I followed him, mentally rolling my eyes. He really was bad. He didn't hold the door for me, which I expected. Glancing around as I followed him through the door, I was again awestruck by how big this place was. Paintings decorated the walls that I'd have to inspect nearer later. The floor was carpeted a deep purple, contrasting nicely with the wooden interior. Antique-looking furniture was placed vicariously along the walls. This way. This floor has the common room, the kitchen, game area, and a room we use for alpha meetings. It also has a dining room for meals. The second floor belongs to my Gamma and his family. The third floor is for my Beta and his family. The fourth floor is for us, and the fifth floor is the library. That was the most he'd said to me since we'd met. Wait, us? Us? I squeaked. He stopped on the stairs and looked down at me. As if he wasn't tall enough, this was even more intimidating. Yes, us. You are my wife and Luna of this pack, but don't worry, you have your own room. Before I could ask, he trotted up the stairs, me scrambling to keep up. I was feeling lightheaded and gasping for breath by the time we reached our floor. Years of being starved for long periods of time will do that to you, I guess. I shuffled down the hall, nearly running into the back of him when he stopped abruptly in front of a door. This is your room. My room is across the hall. He pointed to a door adjacent to mine. Clothes will arrive tomorrow for you. Without another word, he opened his door and stepped inside, closing it on my shocked face. Numbly, I opened my own door and stepped inside. I don't know why I expected it to be small. Old habits, I guess. It was huge. The floor was plush, soft grey carpet. A king-size bed was set against the wall, begging for a good night's sleep. Across from the bed was an old-fashioned fireplace, already lit and filling the room with warmth and a soft glow. A neatly stacked pile of wood was placed to its side. White curtains were drawn across glass doors that looked to open to a balcony. I assumed the door to my right was a bathroom, and the double wooden doors led to a wardrobe. Again, not what I had imagined. But then we didn't imagine we'd have our own room, did we? Sylvie grumbled. No, but it's better than sleeping with him, right? Maybe. But what was the point of all this if we're not going to be together? I didn't have an answer to that. It did seem pointless. He acted as if a mate and Luna, let alone a wife, was the last thing he wanted. Maybe it's better this way. He is. Him, after all. I need to bond with my mate too, Talia. What if he doesn't let us? She whimpered. We live here, Sylvie. Sooner or later we'll meet his wolf. I guess. It wasn't the same thing, I knew. Sylvie needed to make her own bond with the Alpha's wolf. Play together, hunt together. The thought of her not being able to do those things made her extremely sad. He has a name, you know, she said. It feels weird calling him Damon, though. What if he doesn't like it? What if no one else calls him that? You're overthinking things. I don't think so. Yawning, I slipped off my shoes and made my way to the bed. A huge grin plastered my face as I lay down. I'd never slept in a real bed before. My sleeping arrangements at Red Moon consisted of a couple dirty mattresses filled with holes on the floor. Comparatively, this was heaven. Having nothing else to sleep in, I arranged the skirts of my dress under the covers and fell asleep in minutes. I woke up to the intoxicating scent of forest and dark chocolate filling my senses. My wolf Sylvie stirred restlessly in my mind, practically vibrating with excitement. "Mate, mate!" she howled, her voice echoing through my consciousness with an intensity that made my eyes fly open. The room was bathed in the amber glow of the dying fireplace. Shadows danced across the plush grey carpet. But what caught my breath wasn't the luxurious surroundings. It was the figure sitting in the armchair beside my bed. Damon, my husband, my mate, the alpha who had barely spoken 2 words to me since our wedding. He leaned forward, elbows resting on his knees, those haunting blue eyes fixated on mine. His dark hair was slightly disheveled, as if he'd been running his hands through it, and his white dress shirt was unbuttoned at the collar, revealing more of that tantalizing tattoo I'd glimpsed during our ceremony. "You're awake," he said, his deep voice sending shivers down my spine. I sat up slowly, acutely aware that I was still wearing my wedding dress, now wrinkled and twisted around my legs. "How long have you been sitting there?" "Long enough." His gaze traveled over me, and I felt heat bloom in my cheeks. I couldn't sleep. "Your scent." He trailed off, jaw clenching as if he was fighting some internal battle. The air between us was thick with pheromones, making it hard to think clearly. Sylvie practically panted in my head, desperate to get closer to our mate. But something in Damon's expression held me back. Without warning, his hands moved to the neckline of my wedding dress. The sound of fabric tearing filled the room as he ripped the delicate material, exposing my bruised shoulders and collarbone. I gasped and scrambled backward, my heart hammering against my ribs. "What are you doing?" I cried, clutching the torn fabric to my chest. But his eyes weren't filled with lust or violence. His gaze traced the purple and black marks marring my pale skin. "I need to examine you," he said suddenly, his voice rough. My heart skipped a beat, heat pooling low in my stomach at his words. "Examine me?" He stood abruptly, towering over me even more than usual. "Not what you're thinking," he said, though his eyes darkened as they met mine. "I need to see what they did to you." The romantic haze cleared instantly. "What?" "I can smell it on you. The pain." His hands clenched into fists at his sides. "I need to see how badly they hurt you." Fear crept up my spine, not of him, but of what he might discover. "Damon, I don't think—" "It's not a request, Talia." His alpha voice came through, commanding and absolute, but there was something else beneath it, something that sounded almost protective. My wolf whimpered, torn between submission to our alpha and the shame of revealing our scars. I nodded slowly, not trusting my voice. "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" barked Sylvie. "Shut up," I shouted in my mind. "Come here," Damon commanded. I approached slowly, bare feet silent on the carpet. When I was close enough to feel the heat radiating from his body, he finally looked at me. "Turn around." I obeyed, my hands trembling as I faced away from him. I felt him move closer, his body heat radiating onto my back. For a long moment, there was only silence. Then I felt the softest touch against my shoulder blade. His fingertips touched one of the scars on my back. "Who did this to you?" His voice was deadly quiet. "It doesn't matter now," I whispered. "It matters to me." His touch moved to another scar, this one deeper, more jagged. "Tell me their name." I shivered, not from cold, but from the raw possessiveness in his voice. "Alpha Edward." "But Damon, please don't." "He tortured you." It wasn't a question. His fingers continued their exploration, mapping the damage done to my body with a gentleness that brought tears to my eyes. "I survived," I said simply. He was quiet for so long I thought he wouldn't respond. Then slowly he led me to the bed. "Lie down," he said, "on your stomach." I obeyed, my pulse racing as I settled onto the bed. I felt him sit beside me, the mattress dipping under his weight. "I'm going to remove this," he said, his hands at the tie of my robe. "I need to see your back fully." The silk slipped away, leaving me exposed beneath his gaze. I buried my face in the pillow, shame burning through me. "Good goddess!" he said under his breath. I thought he was revolted by the scars, but he was intrigued. How did you get these? He ran his finger over a particularly deep scar. Silver, I mumbled. Silver what? A blade? He asked. I nodded mutely. He traced the silver scars, whispering, That's why they did this to you. They knew exactly what you are. What do you mean? What am I? I gasped, my voice breaking. His blue eyes met mine, filled with a mixture of anger and something that looked almost like pity. Tell me what they did to you, he said intensely. I can't, I murmured back to him, fearing retribution if I acknowledged my abuse. Tell me, he insisted. I must know every detail. I froze, wondering if I could trust this alpha with my story. Although, what did I have to lose by being honest about my dark past? I couldn't make up my mind. Talia, tell me! It doesn't matter, I shouted. This is just what happens to the lowest Omega.
He grabbed me by the shoulders, peering into my eye, and said, Who did this to you? Tears welled up in my eyes as I started to tell him where it all began.
It doesn't take much. Alpha Edward is an alcoholic. It's really difficult for werewolves to get drunk, which means you have to drink heavily to feel the effects. This means he probably had a fight with Luna Layla about his drinking, which means she locked him out of their room, which means he has come down to take out his anger on me. Just an average Tuesday in the pack house. I know the drill. I'm already on my feet waiting for him. Alpha Edward, what can I do for you? I ask with my eyes looking at the floor. I keep my hands clasped in front of me, trying to look as small as possible. Without a word, a whiskey bottle whizzes past my ear and smashes against the wall above my cot. I flinch and can't help but start to tremble and hug myself. Whatever is about to happen, it's going to be worse than usual. He lunges forward and grabs me by the throat with both hands. I feel tears coming to my eyes as the lack of oxygen turns the edges of my vision dark. I desperately claw at his hands, trying to escape his grip, but it's no use. He picks me up by the neck, so I'm at face level with him. His eyes are pitch, indicating his wolf ruckus is at the surface. His breath stinks because of alcohol. I start gagging and choking from the lack of oxygen. Without warning, he throws me across the room as if I weigh nothing. My back slams against the wall, and I land on my back on the cot. The shards of the broken bottle pierce the skin on my back through my thin t-shirt. The whiskey makes the cuts burn. I try to muffle a scream as the pain sears through me. He comes across the room and picks me up roughly by the hair. I feel the shards of glass cutting deeper as he pulls me up. He throws me to the ground. The glass bits are grinding deeper into my back. I can feel something wet soaking through my shredded shirt. I don't dare move and make him even madder. I feel my ribs snap when his foot makes contact. One of his feet lands on my jaw. I feel a sickening snap, rattle in my brain. The metallic taste instantly fills my mouth. Alpha Edward has been using me as his punching bag for years, but this was way more intense than it has ever been before. In the past couple of years, he started dipping the whip in wolfsbane, which makes me heal slower, so now I have gnarly scars across my back and arms. I manage to eke out. My voice is small and garbled. He abruptly stops and walks out of the room. He comes back a moment later with the whip and starts lashing my back relentlessly. The whip is dripping with wolfsbane. The lashes, combined with the glass shards still in my back, combined with the wolfbane, are too much. My vision turns blurry and I pass out. Numbness surrounds me. Is this what being dead is like? It's peaceful, but a little bit boring. At least I don't have to feed the pack. Oh, dang. I didn't get a chance to turn in that English essay. It was a good one, too. The constant soft beeps are soothing. I don't know how long I've been dead, but I feel like I want to open my eyes, ready to take on the afterlife. After what seems like forever, I'm able to open my eyes and find I'm alone in soft comfort in a brightly lit, clean room. This is the afterlife? Maybe this is some sort of waiting area. But where's the lobby? Is there a receptionist? My mind slowly becomes more clear and I realize I'm not dead. I'm in the pack hospital. I need to leave before the Alpha finds me outside the dungeon. I can barely move my body. Every move causes excruciating pain. I start to panic, making the beeps in the room become faster. Oh, I'm hooked up to a bunch of machines. I try to figure out how to unhook them so no one hears the noises. Too late. I hear people in the hallway getting closer. I try to sit up. I need to ignore the pain. I have to escape. I slowly slide off the side of the bed. My legs were wobbly. The tubes and wires sticking out of me prevent me from getting too far. The door opens, and the pack doctor comes in with a nurse. The doctor is an older person.
Talia, you're awake. Let's get you back on the mat, shall we?
The doctor says gently. He and the nurse come to either side of me and reach out to hold my arms. A deep growl escapes my chest. "Don't touch me," I snap, shaking them off. My voice is scratchy and raw, and my mouth feels like 1,000 needles are poking into it.
It's all right, Talia. No one is going to hurt you here. We're trying to help you heal. Let's get you back to it, and I'll get you a drink of water.
The doctor raises his hands in surrender. I look at him hesitantly before the nurse hands me a cup of water with a straw. The water feels good on my throat. The doctor sits in the chair beside the bed as the nurse checks my vitals and starts messing with the tubes and wires attached to me.
Talia, you had surgery to remove hundreds of shards of glass from your back. We also had to reset some ribs, your jaw, and you had a lot of wolfsbane in your blood. We gave you a transfusion to clear it from your system so you could heal. You're lucky your wound isn't so serious.
Sure about that last part, doctor? I think to myself.
When the pack realized breakfast had not been prepared, Tony went to get you and then found you on the ground in your, room.
He looked at me with sympathy.
Talia, who did this to you? It's a crime. That could be grounds for banishment from the pack.
I can't answer him. I stare at my hands on my lap quietly. How can I tell him Alpha Edward is the one who caused this? There's no way he'd believe me. Even if he did, what are they going to do? Banish the Alpha? Fat chance of that. I decide my best move is to just shake my head no. I don't want to get out of the pack for lying. I have nowhere to go. I would be nothing.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. When do you turn 17?
He looks at the papers inside his folder. I don't know exactly, sir. I say honestly. He looks at me with a furrowed brow. He glances at the nurse and asks her to give us privacy for a few minutes. Am I in trouble? I just woke up. I don't know what I could have done.
You don't know your birthday, Talia?
My father brought me here when I was a baby. He was a bad guy. Alpha Edward, well, I feel my face burning with embarrassment. My hands tremble and tears threaten to escape my eyes. I didn't think I would have to tell the story to the doctor. I thought everyone already knew. My father was a bad guy. Alpha Edward ended his life for coming into pack territory without permission. They didn't realize he was carrying a baby until they unzipped his jacket and saw I was tucked inside. It was a miracle I survived. Since I was just a baby, they couldn't just get rid of me, but they didn't know anything about me. I was wrapped in a blanket that had the name Talia embroidered on it. So that is what they called me. My father could have been a kidnapper for all I know. The only reason they gave me the last name Jackman is because after they took down my father, they looked through his wallet to identify him. The only form of ID he had was a library card that said Brian Jackman on it. I've tried an internet search for his name on the computer in the school library before. Nothing comes up in the search.
You don't need to finish. I know what happened to your father.
Well, after that happened, Luna Layla took me in until I was old enough to start school. Then she moved me into the dungeon. I've kind of been on my own since then. I never found out when my actual birthday was. And to be honest, you're the first person who has ever asked. mean, I guess I'm 16. My wolf hasn't woken up yet. The doctor nods, looking at me with pity, almost like he cares. He asks me a few more questions about my medical history. There's nothing to speak of. I don't remember ever being treated by a doctor before. He closes the folder and tucks his pen into his shirt pocket.
Well, I know you haven't had a chance to look in the mirror yet, but when you do, you may find you look a little different. Don't be alarmed. I've done as many tests as I could think of, and it is not medically related.
Yes, sir? I assume he means I'm healing faster, but why did he need me to look in the mirror? Why not just tell me? I look at the nurse who is staring at me. When she realizes I caught her, her eyes dart away. What's that about? Okay, lady. Rude?
I'll leave you now.
You can go in the bathroom and wash up. Just take that bowl with the IV solution with you. There are lounge shorts and fresh underwear in the bag. You need to leave the hospital gown on until your back heals. All right?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Diane. She nods and leaves the room. It's the first time in my life people have been kind to me. I mean, I think it's part of their job, but still. All I have known so far were insults, physical misery, and hard work. Never any kindness. Never any. I feel like I can trust the doctor, but I'm still wary of Nurse Diane. The way she stared at me just now makes me uncomfortable. I pick up the duffel bag and go to the bathroom. I avoid looking in the mirror. Everything in the bathroom is fresh. There's a shower, but I'm worried the pressure of the water will hurt my back. I decided to fill the tub halfway and get in. The water is warm and soothing. There's a washcloth and a fresh bar of soap. I clean myself until the water is gross. I drain the tub, wipe out the ring of dirt around the edge, and fill it again. The water is not nearly as dirty as this time when I finish washing. I find it hard to raise my hands, but I don't want to call the nurse to help me. I gently wash my hair, dry off, and wrap the soft towel around my head. There's a toothbrush and a small tube of paste on the shelf by the sink. I'm living in the lap of luxury in the Pack Hospital. I pick them up and start brushing my teeth. I can't avoid it anymore. I need to look in the mirror. I finally worked up the courage to take a peek. What I see makes me drop the toothbrush. My face is still covered in bruises, but that's not what made me drop the toothbrush. The iris of my left eye is violet, not like a shade of blue that could be a little purple in the right light. No, my right pupil is still the drab gray I'm used to, but my left pupil looks crazy. I blink my eyes hard a few times. Still the same. I tried rubbing my eye, but it doesn't make a difference. There's no mistaking it. My eye is bright, practically glowing. Violet. The 2 days seem to last forever. I'm not complaining, though. I've never gotten so much in my life, and as a bonus, I get 3 meals a day. 3. I keep looking in the mirror. I can't get over how weird my purple eye looks. I wake up on the 2nd day and go to the bathroom to freshen up. I stare at myself in the mirror for the millionth time. My left eye is still violet. Now my right eye seems like it's starting to turn violet as well. There was nothing I could do about it, so I decided to try not to worry. Since Red Moon is a pretty big pack, we have a high school on pack territory. The library has a really big werewolf lore research section. I will do some research during lunch. As I tilt my head to the side to brush my hair, I notice a chunk of my hair has changed color. Instead of my normal mousy brown, it is silvery gray. Okay, seriously now, and what is going on? What is happening to me? Is this a trick? Is there bleach in the shampoo or something? If it is a trick, it isn't funny. I pick up the bottle and smell it. It smells like strawberries, not bleach. Weird. I have never heard of a wolf's eye or hair color changing when they are coming of age, but that's what the doctor thinks is happening. Diane comes in just after lunch with paperwork and pamphlets for me. She hands me another little bag.
Just a little something to help you stay incognito until you are finished healing.
Thank you for everything. There's a round hat in the bag. How do I look? I ask as I model them for her. She giggles at my poses.
You're a star, darling.
Maybe she isn't so bad after all. She gives me a gentle hug and sends me on my way. I have another 2 hours before I need to start prepping dinner. I decided to take my new clothes to my room and clean up the mess down there before this. Something smells different as I walk down the hallway of the dungeon. Like a cleaning solution. I turn on my lamp to find the room has been transformed. My lamp is not sitting on an old stack of milk crates. It is on a nightstand. There's a new bed, too. My old cot is gone. I have a proper mattress, complete with new sheets and blankets. There is also a small desk and chair with all my school books arranged in a basket next to it. I must be dreaming. That, or I walked into someone else's room by accident. Except no one else lives down here. You can barely tell it was an old dungeon cell. It looks like what I imagine a dorm room would look like. I peek out of the doorway to make sure I am in the right place. I seem to be. I walk over and sit carefully on the bed, as though it will disappear if I move too fast. It is like a cloud. The gray and turquoise linens are fresh and new. There are even 2 pillows. I never had a proper pillow before, let alone 2. As far as I know, Diane is the only one who came down here while I was in the hospital. Could she have had all this done? Surely she will get in trouble when Alpha Edward finds out. Then I remember she doesn't know how much the Alpha hates me. I don't know how I'm going to explain it when he finds out. But I won't tattle on anyone for trying to help me either. I put my new clothes away in the drawers of the nightstand. I stash the duffel bag under the mattress. Once I am 17, I will figure out a way to get out of this place. Find a new pack that will accept a violet-eyed weakling of a wolf. I sit at the desk and write a thank you letter to the doctor and Nurse Diane. I turn in the chair to look around my new room. I am in awe that someone would do this for me. I must have been daydreaming, because I didn't hear the door at the top of the stairs. Instantly, I freeze. I hear 2 sets of footsteps coming down the hall. I can smell Alpha Edward's scent getting closer. I don't know who the other scent belongs to. Instinctively, I scramble and stand in the middle of the room just as they get to the doorway. He leans against the frame and crosses his arms. I can feel my whole body tremble as he stares. My eyes are glued to the ground. I do not want him to see my new eye color shining through. Can I help you, Alpha Edward?
That little stunt you pulled cost me a lot of money. And when you cost me money, you cost my whole family money.
I am sorry, sir. I apologize. Although I have no idea what stunt he is talking about. I look up just enough to see Marcy, the Alpha's daughter, is also standing in the doorway. Marcy takes a step closer, and I can feel tears starting to sting the corners of my eyes as my arms shake uncontrollably. How am I gonna face her at school? I haven't had a conversation with her since her mom made me live in the dungeon anyway. But as far as I know, she had no idea I live down here now. She is going to tell everyone for sure.
And do you know how disgusting the food has been for the past 2.5 days?
I just nod, still looking at the ground. I'm not trying to argue with a lunatic. It isn't my fault I had to have surgery. He's the one who broke a bottle and threw me into the broken pieces. If he hadn't, I would have been just fine. I would have been able to bounce back the next day and make breakfast like I was supposed to, even if I was banged up. There is a pause and he finally growls,
Where did all this furniture come from? Did you steal it?
No, sir. It was here when I got back from the hospital wing. I don't know who brought it.
You owe me, Talia. You also owe whoever turned your room into this comfortable space. You'll work in the pack house until you pay back every cent for the rest of your life if necessary. No more school. You don't need education to cook and clean.
He uses his alpha tone. I cannot disobey. With those words, the small flame of hope in my heart extinguishes. I don't get paid, so I don't know how I could ever pay back any debt. Luna Layla told me years ago that the room in the dungeon was payment enough for my services. I am less than an Omega now. I am a slave.
Marcy, teach her a lesson for wasting our money.
Yes, Alpha.
Tears stream down my face as the reality of my fate sets in. Alpha Edward is passing the torch of his cruelty down to his daughter, but I know better than that. He will never stop. Marcy reaches forward and claps the back of my neck. She forces me down into a bowing position and growls deeply.
You should be grateful my father doesn't banish you. If you were a rogue, I would make sure you never made it to the border of the territory.
A squeak escapes my throat. I am so scared I feel like I'm going to pass out. Marcy turns to her father.
Don't worry, Alpha. I've got the situation covered.
I hear Alpha Edward's footsteps walk back down the hallway as he leaves the dungeon. Marcy tightens her grip on my neck, extending her wolf claws, making me yelp. As soon as the door slams, Marcy releases my neck and kneels in front of me. Her face is contorted with anger. She grabs my shoulders, shaking me roughly.
What did you do to make him so mad?
Why isn't she doing anything to me like she told Alpha Edward she would? I stiffened my whole body, avoiding eye contact with her. I'm shaking. I can't even speak now. The thought of two people doing something bad to me regularly for the rest of my life, it just can't be real. Can it? How can the moon goddess allow this to happen? I want to leave the world. That's not an exaggeration. That's not me being dramatic. Please, moon goddess, don't let this happen. Just let me go. I shake so badly that I fall to my knees. I start to sob hysterically and my brain shuts down from being able to think rationally. Marcy grabs my chin and forces me to look at her in her cold gray eyes. She looks at me in horror for a moment.
What happened to your eyes?
She moves her hands up from my chin to just below my eyes. It feels like her hands are trembling against my face.
Are you a mixed blood or something?
All I can manage is to shake my head no between sobs. As I shake my head, I feel her starting to press her thumbs against my lower eyelids, obstructing my vision. Oh no, she's gonna poke my eyes out. She saw the violet color. She was going to blind me. I place my hands on top of her, trying to push her away. I hear myself screaming, "No, stop! Don't take my eyes out, please!" For just a moment, time freezes. I don't mean like it feels like time is standing still because I'm in the middle of a traumatic situation. No, time is frozen. Well, frozen for everything except for me, I should say. I can feel it in the air. It only lasts for a moment. I pulled Marcy's hands away from my face easily. The look of anger combined with confusion is stuck on her face. Next to her, a fly is suspended in midair. The second hand on the clock has stopped on the wall behind her. Drips of water aren't finished falling, leaving umbrella-shaped splashes in the puddles on the floor. What? Did the moon goddess hear me? Did she have mercy on me? Did she let my dream come true? I look back at Marcy with wide eyes. My hands are glowing purple. As quickly as it stopped, time started again. Marcy starts screaming and pushes herself away from me. The tops of her hands where my hands were touching her were burnt. I look down at my hands. They are normal again, not glowing purple. Seriously though, what happened? I shut my eyes tight, waiting for Marcy to retaliate.
If you tell anyone, I will kill you,
she says in my ear. Then she punches me in the stomach, knocking the air out of my lungs. I hear her footsteps running down the hall, then out the door. I don't know how long I sit like this, but when I finally open my eyes, I breathe a sigh of relief. I lean against my body for a while longer, sobbing, shaking, and trying to catch my breath. She didn't harm me. Surely she was coming back. I sniff the air, but her scent is gone. I listened carefully, but there were no sounds in other parts of the dungeon. I'm alone. Moon Goddess, thank you for saving me. Thank you. I say out loud, just in case the miracle I just experienced was because of her. I feel exhausted, but starting to feel calmer. Okay, Talia, focus. I need to make dinner for the pack or Alpha Edward will find me and kill me. I don't think it's an exaggeration either. Even if I tried to run away, either he or Marcy would find me before I could get off the territory. I take a few deep breaths and make myself go down the hall to wash up at the sink. I splash cold water on my face and look in the grungy mirror. Both of my eyes are pure violet now. The silver streaks are starting to take over my hair now. It isn't like an old person's hair. It is silvery that almost shimmers, even in the low light of the dungeon. So weird. There's no way I'm going to be able to get used to this new look. I go back to my room and get dressed in the loose cotton gown and round hat that Diane gave me, pulling the brim low to hide my eyes. Throughout dinner, I received murderous glares from Alpha Edward. I make sure to keep my eyes to the floor so Alpha Edward would avoid seeing the color. Marcy glares at me every chance she gets. After dinner, it takes longer than usual to stock the pantries because whoever did it while I was in the hospital had no idea what they were doing. It is well after midnight when I flop down on my bed and close my eyes. June 20th, I think to myself. It's the last day of school. Well, for other people anyway, not me. You don't need the education to cook and stock pantries. Alpha Edward's words ring in my ears. Just another day for me, I suppose. I wallow in self-pity for a bit before I roll over and try to fall asleep. I'm almost asleep when I hear a woman's voice.
Hello?
I quickly scramble to my feet, looking everywhere for who it could be. I'm the only one in the room. I peek into the hallway and look around, but no one is there either. Hello? I whisper loudly down the hallway.
Ugh, Talia. This is no way for a warrior to behave. Get yourself together.
The voice chides. I realize the voice is coming from inside my head. Who are you? I ask hesitantly, worried that I've gone insane.
I am the messenger of the Moon Goddess, the whisperer to the moon. But I like you, so I'll let you call me Sylvie.
Whisperer of the moon. Are you my angel, Sylvie?
Maybe. Who knows?
You came a day too late. Our Alpha just turned me into a slave less than 12 hours ago. We have no way to escape now. I feel tears welling up. I explain everything to her, what the Alpha did. How the Luna made me live in the dungeon, all of it. I sob through the whole thing.
I'm here now, Talia. Don't worry. You are a child of the Moon Goddess. You are a warrior, which means that you are strong. You will get through this.
Sylvie, earlier, when my hands turned purple and burned Marcy, was that you?
Sort of. That was you, but I helped a little to activate your power. I can explain more later.
The next month and a half are the worst of my life. Thank Goddess for Sylvie. She keeps me going. Any motivation I ever had is gone now. Instead of just breakfast and dinner, now I make lunch too, and I'm still on pantry duty. Every moment of my day is filled with work. From the time I wake up, Sylvie convinces me to enjoy the time that she and I get to spend together, which is when I'm cooking meals. I find I do enjoy cooking while Sylvie is with me. No one comes to bother me. So, we get to have great conversations without interruptions. In the end, I have created something people will enjoy. I even found a couple of recipe books in the back of one of the kitchen cupboards and taught myself some new techniques and dishes to make. Everything else in my life is complete hell. Alpha Edward allows pack members to bully me and verbally mock me, and they take full advantage at every opportunity. He comes to my room multiple times a week to harm me and berate me for imaginary offenses I haven't committed. Sometimes Marcy comes and watches. A couple of times she even gets the whip for her father, but she never actually does anything bad to me. I swear I see her smiling while she watches. Sylvie tries to convince me to fight back, but that would be a death sentence. If I fight back, or even worse, if I shift, I'm certain I'd be dead. Sylvie keeps telling me everything will change when I shift. She keeps saying, "You are a daughter of the moon goddess, and you are her warrior." She is frustrated that I submit instead of fighting back. She is angry at me for keeping her a secret. She says doing so is making her weaker. Okay, Sylvie, a couple of problems with all of this. I try to tell her for the millionth time after we plop in. First, I have no idea when I'm going to be able to let you help me to shift. I'm up and working every day from 5 a.m. until after midnight. Secondly, if the Alpha finds out I'm talking to someone in my head, he might think I've gone nuts and he will banish me. Or maybe just skip banishing me and straight out kill me. Lastly, I'm a slave, not a warrior. I am not even an Omega.
Talia, you are not just a warrior. You are a child of the moon goddess. She is your mother.
Okay, I don't know when I can let you help, but at the first opportunity I will take it, Sylvie. I promise. This seems to satisfy her. We keep having the same argument about werewolves all being children of Moon Goddess versus being an actual child of the Moon Goddess. She doesn't understand the difference. I think she believes the Moon Goddess is my mom, like, in the literal sense of the word mother. Every day I'm completely exhausted by the time I get back to my room. It's an even longer day if I'm visited by Alpha Edward. Sylvie has been the best friend I could ask for, even if she is frustrated and getting weak. She is always supporting me and pushing me to not give up. I feel guilty that I can't support her in return. One day, Alpha Edward's personal Omega comes running up to me while I'm making lunch and tells me the Alpha wants to see me in his office right away. I drop what I'm doing and hurry to his office. I knock on the door quietly in case he's busy.
Come in!
He calls from inside. I pull open the door and peek inside. "You called for me, Alpha?" I asked as quietly as possible. The easiest way to get away from him is to use as few words and ask as few questions as possible.
Don't just stand there, come in.
He snarls. I rush inside and close the door behind me. I stay as close to the door as possible in case I need to make a run for it.
Talia, we have a delegation coming from the Dark Howlers pack next week. 20 wolves in total. All of the ranked members, their mates, the heads of their security and guards, and security detail for all of them. If all goes well, we'll be forming a pact with them. They must be treated with the utmost respect and courtesy. Bring lunches to the conference room every day, and make a formal dinner every day next week. Keep their pantries stocked and stay out of the way. Got it?
I look up from under my hat, still keeping my face low enough that he can't see my eyes. Yes, even after almost 2 months, he still hasn't noticed that I have purple eyes. Or if he has, he hasn't pointed it out. He also hasn't said anything about my silver hair, which is just fine with me. Yes, sir.
Everyone will be here on Monday, except for the Alpha, who's coming Tuesday. We'll be having a party after dinner to welcome him. Make sure there is enough food for the party. Give George the information for the additional food you need to make. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Good. We need to keep the Alpha happy. If not, I won't hesitate to let him harm you. Do you understand?
He stands up with his hands on the desk, looking very intimidating. Yes, sir.
Now get out of my sight.
He points to the door behind me. I scramble out of the room as fast as possible to find George. George is in charge of ordering supplies for the pack house. He should be in his office right now. My mind is already churning through the special foods to make, and the groceries I need for them. I also need extra supplies for the guest suite pantries. I wonder what kind of foods the Dark Howlers pack likes. Dark Howlers is the largest pack in the northern region, with my pack, Red Moon, being the second largest. Alpha Edward says Dark Howlers is vicious and strict. Most of their pack has served in the military at one point or another. They employ dark magicians and witches to help them keep power over neighboring packs. I wonder if they're going to bring any dark witches here. I hope not. I also hear their Alpha expels pack members who fail training tests, because he doesn't want weak wolves in his pack. A guy I don't want to cross paths with. I get to George's office and knock on the door. I can hear noises coming from inside, but he doesn't answer. I knock a little louder. What the hell? He has to know I'm here. He knows my scent. Just tell me to come in already.
I don't like this guy, Talia. He's creepy. He stares at you.
Well, we don't have a choice but to work with him, Sylvie. He's the money.
Fine, but let's make it quick.
I knock again, more impatiently this time.
What is it?
He finally growls from inside. I open the door to find there's a female wolf sitting on his desk. She hides her face in his chest. I can't see who she was, but there is no denying whose scent it is. George is not wearing any pants and he is sweating.
Get the hell out, Talia. I'm busy here.
I stand there wide-eyed, jaw slack for a moment. I can't be seeing this. George is having a fun time in his office with Luna Layla.
Get out, Talia.
He yells louder. I come to my senses and slam the door closed. I run back to the kitchen as fast as I can. I can feel the drip of sweat down my face. If anyone finds out what I just saw, I am finished. Sylvie thinks it's hilarious. She laughs in my head throughout lunch preparation. I'm just trying to erase the scene from my mind. I'm about to take the platters out to the dining room when George comes charging into the kitchen. He makes a beeline for me and grabs me by the throat, pinning me against the wall. He hauls back his fist and punches me square in the face. The back of my head slams against the wall so hard I see stars. I can feel my nose snap as I slide down the wall with a groan.
You didn't see anything.
I can feel his claws extending into my neck, drawing blood.
You understand, you little monster?
I'm paralyzed with fear. I can't answer. I can't even nod. Suddenly, I feel like I'm falling backwards in my mind. I blink quickly a few times. It feels like I'm looking out of someone else's eyes.
Let her go.
The voice comes from me, but it isn't my voice. It's Sylvie. Her voice booms and sounds almost ethereal. The dishes on the counter shake as she growls deeply at George. I watch helplessly as my hands glow violet and grab George's wrists. As I grab him, his eyes widen in fear, and he starts howling in pain. A sizzling sound comes from where my hands connect with his skin. He quickly releases my neck, and we both fall to the ground.
How are you doing this? What are you, Talia?
I stand up, feeling much taller than my 5-foot-tall frame. Sylvie's voice booms from me.
I am a warrior child of the moon goddess. And if you tell anyone what has happened here today, I will make you suffer.
George scoots back on his backside away from me, wide-eyed, then clambers up and runs away as fast as he can. Suddenly, I come back into my normal state of mind, and I fall back to the ground, exhausted. My hands are no longer glowing, but they feel like they are on and full of static electricity. Sylvie, what was that?
I couldn't help it. He was threatening you.
Okay, but what was with the glowy purple burnt hands thing? That's not normal.
Talia, we've been through this. You are a child of the moon goddess. You are special. There is more too, you will see, after we shift for the first time. Until then, I'm not strong enough to show you. Besides, it isn't like I hurt him badly. His wolf will heal him before he is back in his office.
I do. Wait, you mean the moon goddess is my actual mom? Like she gave birth to me specifically? Not just like mother of all werewolves because she created us a gazillion years ago?
That's what I've been saying since I came. It's not my fault you didn't believe me.
I picked up a towel to wipe the stain from my nose. Sylvie is already healing me from the break, but my face is going to be bruised for a couple of days. I pull my hat down low so no one can see the bruises, then pick up the first 2 platters and rush out to the dining room. Okay. Well, if you're able to do that to George, how come you can't do it to Alpha Edward or Marcy?
Well, I think it happened one time before, but I wasn't fully in control then. I can't do it now because he's your Alpha. I can't go against what he says. I can't attack your Alpha or his daughter.
I concede. I don't want to argue with her. I'm just trying to figure out the rules. I'm in uncharted territory here. I mean, it's cool territory, but I don't know what our limits are. Once all the platters are out, I make a list of all the extra supplies I need and put it in the box hanging outside George's office. That way, I don't have to face him again. I clean up the dining room after lunch and still have about 45 minutes until I have to start dinner. I decide to go to the stock room and put supplies on the pantry cart for later. As I work, I hear someone clear their throat behind me. I look up to find Marcy standing uncomfortably close to me. Can I help you with something, Marcy? I try to swallow the panic that instantly builds in my throat.
Talia, I just wanted to say, when I'm in control of the pack, you won't be treated the way you are now.
Marcy, please stop. I put my hands up and push lightly against her to get her to move, but she's stronger than me and doesn't budge. I look up at her to see an evil grin distorting her face.
I see the way my dad treats you, Talia. You never complain. You just take it.
She moves closer, breathing deeply until she's fully pressing herself against me.
I bet you like it when he does it, don't you?
What? There is no way I heard her right, did I? Marcy, I do not enjoy what your father does to me, and you're no better standing there watching him, instead of stopping him. I can feel tears stinging the corners of my eyes as she slips an arm around my waist. I cannot believe this is happening right now.
Don't lie to me, Talia. I do like men, but I can't deny your scent does something to me no man ever can. The way you beg before my father turns me on, it makes me crazy to think about what I'll do to you if I find you alone. I can't wait to get my hands on you. We'll turn the dungeon into a playroom just for us, instead of just your bedroom.
She's nuzzling against my neck right below my ear, making me cringe, but I don't have anywhere to be able to move to get away from her. Are you insane? I push hard against her, but she's too strong. She doesn't budge. Get off of me, you sicko! Her voice is rough and ragged with excitement. I'm afraid to fight back or to even say anything. Sylvie can't help me because she's the Alpha's daughter. Moon Goddess, if you're my mother, please help me, please. Save me from this. I turn my mind off, just like her father beat me within an inch of my life. My mind cannot be present for what is happening to me.
Get up, Talia. I said get up. You're better than this. You will survive this.
I want to leave this world, Sylvie. I can't do this anymore, I can't.
You can, and you will. You will find your mate soon enough, and things will change, I promise.
How can you be so sure?
Glowy, burning hands are not your only gift.
I go back to my room to find new clothes before making dinner. The next 4 days go without incident, unless you consider the fact that I have visited the roof several times recently, contemplating my existence. Each time I stand with my toes at the edge and stare down from the 4-story building. I can't bring myself to do anything except cry and go back to my room. I can't do it to Sylvie. I can't take her life because I want to take mine. Sunday after dinner service, I see Luna Layla in the hallway while I'm refilling pantries. She quickly approaches me and grabs me by the arm. She extends her claws into my bicep, drawing blood.
Talia, if you tell anyone, and I mean anyone, what you saw in George's office, I will make you suffer.
She says in a low, threatening tone. You too, lady. I'm fed up. Does she want to bully me? Okay, fine. I lift my hat and let my violet eyes look directly at her. She gasps at the unusual sight. Luna, it would be a relief, and I would welcome it. You don't know or care how I'm treated by this pack, including by your husband, your daughter, and your lover. Tears choke up my throat. I cannot take any more punishment from anyone else. I'm at my wit's end. If she takes my life right here in this hallway, it would be a relief. I'm sorry, Sylvie. I just can't do it anymore. I say to my angel as I stare down Luna Layla. She doesn't respond. She shuts her mind blink and crawls into the corner of my mind. Luna Layla pushes me away.
Insolent child. You should be grateful for your life. The Alpha will hear about this.
I'm not grateful for this life, Luna. And if you think I should be, you are part of the problem. If you want to tell the Alpha about this incident, I'm more than happy to tell him what instigated it. She stares at me with pure anger and hatred before walking away, without a word. I guess fate has other plans for me. I stand in the hall for a few minutes to see if she is coming back, but she doesn't. I'm certain she is going to sabotage me. Maybe she's going to smother me in my sleep or just stab me straight in the back. Either way, I was serious when I told her I welcome her. I finished pantry duty, making sure everything is set in the guest rooms. I had George order bouquets for each of the suites as an extra touch. In the guest Alpha suite, I also added a bottle of champagne. If this is the last thing I ever get to do, I want it to be something that makes someone else happy. It is almost 1:30 in the morning before I plop into my bed, totally exhausted. It has been a day. If Luna Layla has anything to say about it, it will probably be my last. Sylvie is exhausted too. She stopped sulking long enough to tell me she needs me to shift. But I can't. I have no time or energy. I keep promising her I will, but I feel like I've broken that promise. I float off to the sounds of her whimpering in my head while I cry into my pillow. To my surprise, my alarm wakes me in the morning. Sylvie makes me promise to hang on for one more day. We go through the motions of the life I hate. While I'm getting ready, I look in the mirror to find my hair is completely silvery now. I tuck it into a bun to try to avoid people noticing it. The delegation from Dark Howlers arrives in the early afternoon. They are all tall and intimidating, with tattoos and big muscles. Some of them have visible scars on their arms and faces. They wear matching business attire or security uniforms. Luna Layla directs them to the sitting room while I quietly bring in pitchers of water and iced tea for them to drink. I was doing my best, trying not to be noticed, and one of the women calls me out.
You there, Omega.
She says abruptly. I look around and realize she is speaking to me.
For everyone.
Maya, of course, right away.
Luna Layla says quickly, then nods her head to me. I rush to the cellar and pull out 2 cases of napkins and glasses. I prep the drink service cart and head back to the sitting room. I open 3 bottles, leaving the rest for them to do as they wish, and then I back out of the room so I can start preparing dinner. The rest of the day goes without a hitch. The guests seem pleased with dinner. In the evening, I go to each guest suite to make sure everyone is happy with their accommodations. A couple of people ask for more bags of chips or soda, but on the whole, everyone seems satisfied. The last door is the Beta's room. Maya opens the door, looking much more relaxed than earlier. She has a large tattoo of a rose and dagger on her forearm. Her dark hair is still pulled back, but she isn't wearing makeup. I can see now. She looks only a few years older than me. I can hear her mate inside talking on the phone.
Thanks for checking on us. Everything is wonderful. The flowers are a beautiful touch. You have good taste.
She smiles at me. I bow to her slightly, then turn to leave.
Wait, what's under your hat?
I stop in my tracks and turn around. I'm sorry, ma'am. I ask. I feel the blood drain from my face.
Your hat. Why is it so low? What are you trying to hide? Come closer.
I come closer and slowly take off my hat, keeping my eyes to the ground. My silver hair cascades down my back. It is embarrassingly greasy and visibly dirty. I feel myself blush.
Oh, I see. Now, don't be disrespectful. Always look me in the eye when I speak to you.
I look up at her. The light from her room shines right into my eyes. She looks at me blankly for a moment, trying to process what she's seeing.
What are you? A hybrid?
No, ma'am. The pack doctor did tests, but he doesn't know why it happened. He thinks it must be a transformation related to my wolf getting ready to wake up. I mean, it's not a lie. It's just not the whole truth, right? How am I supposed to tell a stranger that my wolf says that I'm the moon goddess's actual daughter, and that is why I have silver hair and violet eyes? She grabs my chin and pulls my face closer to hers, inspecting closely.
And does the pack doctor know that someone has broken your nose recently? You still have bruises.
I'm not going to elaborate or implicate anyone in this conversation with someone I do not know.
Who's at the door, Maya?
Just the Omega assigned to us, Caden? What's your name again?
It's Talia, ma'am. I'm not an Omega, though. I'm just a servant.
Her name is Talia. She picked out my beautiful flowers.
She's still talking to her mate, but she hasn't taken her eyes off me as if she's trying to size me up for some reason. Her brow furrows slightly as she stares. She's making me self-conscious.
That's nice. Ask her if I can get bubbly water in the refrigerator.
No problem, ma'am. She and I share a smile at bubbly water. I will bring it shortly and leave it at the door.
Thank you. Oh, and Talia, if those bruises aren't healed by tomorrow morning, find some powder. Alpha Damon does not tolerate seeing injuries like that.
Yep, yes, ma'am. I run to the stockroom, get 4 bottles of San Pellegrino and put them in front of the door, then run away as fast as I can. 1 million questions run through my head. Would their Alpha be angry for being weaker than other wolves, even if I was not part of his pack? Was she going to tell Alpha Edward about my unusual features? Was she going to call him out for letting someone break my nose? I mean, lady, if you think that is bad, I got some news you're not gonna like, and then I'm dead meat by your Alpha, for sure. Alpha Edward comes down later and whips me for not having all the items our guests wanted. By morning, Sylvie has still not been able to fully heal me. I'm in so much pain. Everything is a struggle. Cooking, carrying breakfast trays, leaning over to clean tables. Every move causes scabs to open and bleed, making the back of my shirt damp with blood. Maya makes eye contact with me a couple of times. She can tell something was wrong but doesn't say anything. For some reason she can't explain, Sylvie is bouncing around in my head all morning.
The beta is so nice. I can't wait to meet the Alpha and Luna.
Sylvie, come on. We're not going to get to meet the Alpha and Luna. We're going to melt into the wallpaper and pretend we don't exist.
I want to meet them.
Okay, well, I hate to disappoint you, but you're gonna be disappointed. Layla comes in while I'm prepping lunch to let me know that Alpha has arrived. And I need to make lunch for him as well. There is no Luna. He doesn't have a mate. And according to Layla, he's handsome. Not that it matters to me, because I'm going to be wallpaper. I don't want him to notice me at all. I take the trays to the conference room. Alpha Damon is not there, but there is a spot at the table where he is supposed to sit. I leave his meal at the empty seat. Everyone from the Dark Howlers pack politely thanks me as I lay out plates in front of them. Their manners betray their intimidating features. No one from the Red Moon pack says a word to me as I serve them. I collect the trays and walk out quietly. Layla lets me know she will clean the plates so I can focus on dinner and food for the party. I go to the kitchen, but need a minute to collect myself before I get started on dinner. I go out the back door and stand on the stoop. In the distance, I don't recognize him. It must be the Alpha from Dark Howlers. He is too far away for me to see his actual features, though. All I can see is a tall figure with dark hair and a suit. It smells like... I swear, it smells like coffee or dark chocolate. This guy was a mocha drinker. I laughed to myself at the thought of the big bad Alpha of Dark Howlers sipping on a mochaccino. I make a 4-course meal of Caesar salad, bacon-wrapped shrimp appetizers, beef Wellington with braised Brussels sprouts for the main dish, and a key lime pie for dessert. I also make bruschetta, tomato fritters, mini calzones, assorted veggie trays with dip, and chocolate truffles to serve for the party. I finished the desserts and veggie trays between breakfast and lunch, so there was less for me to worry about now. I realized Sylvie's advice of finding happiness in cooking has helped me enjoy making this dinner. Maybe because I'm serving people other than my pack, or maybe it's because I'm making special food, not just the regular stuff I make for the pack. Either way, I don't mind my work today. I felt a sense of pride in it. There are servers for dinner service since it's a formal event. I stay in the kitchen and make sure everything is plated, and going out the door in perfect condition. I'm in the zone, I peek out from the kitchen after each course is served. People seem to enjoy the food, which is a relief. I notice Alpha Edward is getting pretty drunk. Luna Layla keeps taking his glass away from him, but he keeps ordering the Omegas to give him more. The dining room is extra crowded, so I don't get a better look at Alpha Damon. Maya sees me peeking out from the kitchen and gives me a wink and thumbs up. I smile and give a little wave before pulling my head back. I help the servers take the party food to the tables at the edges of the ballroom. I also make sure the bars in the corners are fully stocked. The DJ is finishing setting up, and colorful lights are sliding across the floor. Party balloons and streamers are hanging all over the place. The first few guests are starting to wander in, which is my cue to duck out the back door. Luckily, the dinner servers will clean up the dinner service tonight, which gives me extra time to restock pantries. I head upstairs to the stockroom and load the cart up. I'm humming to myself as I go from room to room. I feel an odd sense of calm as I go.
You're in a good mood.
I guess. I'm not sure why, though. My back and feet still hurt.
Well, I'm happy that you're happy, for once. This version of you is pretty cool.
Thanks, Sylvie. You're not half bad yourself. I finished stocking the ranked pack members' rooms on the 4th and 3rd floors. Then I head to the 2nd floor where the guest suites are. The cleaning staff has cleaned everything. I just need to restock the toiletries, pantry items, and refrigerators. I make quick work of the rooms. I remember to stock the Beta's room with more bottles of San Pellegrino, refresh the flowers, and leave a little tent card with a handwritten smiley face on the kitchenette counter. It's almost midnight now. Everyone is still in the ballroom partying. I close the door to the Beta's suite and move to the Alpha's suite door. It's the last room left for the night. I know he's at the party too, but I knock first, just in case. I lean my ear against the door. I don't hear a reply. I slip the key card in the slot and open the door, but the moment I looked inside, my heart stopped, and I froze. Standing there was the most handsome werewolf I've ever seen in my life. Easily 6 foot, 6 inches tall, looked to be about 250 pounds of solid muscle with the broadest shoulders, but he wasn't alone. An icy blonde stood in front of him with her hands undoing his belt. The smell of coffee and dark chocolate filled the air, and my mind went hazy as I froze, seeing 2 piercing blue eyes staring back at me. "Stop!" he shouted. "Is this it? Is this the day I die?" I wondered. I was only doing my job, but that did not change the fact that I had witnessed something that should not have been seen. Before I could move, he lunged forward and roughly pinned me against the floor outside the room with a low growl. He placed both hands on my shoulders, preventing me from escaping, put his face against my neck, and inhaled deeply. My heart was pounding in my chest as overwhelming panic began to set in. "Alpha Damon, is this Omega trying to steal something?" a guard said, seeing the struggle. "Get back," he snarled, flashing his large fangs. "Mine," he growled. Over his shoulder, I could faintly see Marcy staring daggers at me, and down the hall, I heard Alpha Edward shouting. "What a disaster," I thought. "They're all going to kill me." My head started swimming, and I felt even dizzier. Maybe I was finally dying. "Look what you've done, you little bitch!" Marcy yelled as she reached out to grab me, but she never touched me. Alpha Damon snarled, snatching her hand out of the air and snapping her wrist. Alpha Edward roared, "How dare you! This is war!" I watched them fight as if it was a dream. They looked as though they were moving in slow motion. Alpha Edward yanked Marcy, pulling her back as Damon snarled at them. He was vicious, beautifully vicious. A guard tried to separate them as Beta Caden and Maya took defensive positions around Alpha Damon, and George lunged at Damon, but he was no match for the Alpha. Damon grabbed George by the throat and threw him into the wall as though her were a tiny pup. I almost laughed, but I was shaking all over, barely able to stand. But in the chaos, I managed to crawl away and slink down the stairs. I looked around to see if anyone noticed me, but they were all too busy arguing. I looked down to see blood running down my legs, dripping onto the floor. I started to lose consciousness, and then I heard it. The most guttural, ear-shattering roar. Where is she? Where is who, Alpha Damon? Where is my mate? Is it possible? Is Talia truly Damon's fated mate? What will Damon do to protect her? Will their bond ignite a war between the two most powerful packs in the Order? Will any of them leave Red Moon territory alive?